Some may call this a show, but I'm not sure what it is. We have fun doing it though. So we have Melissa and Brent and Craig and myself, Enzo, here today. And what are we going to talk about today, guys?
Yeah, good question. This is well, we can talk about, first off,
It's open mic day.
yeah, before we get started, who is going to ice? Raise your hand if you're going to ice. Two out of four learning circles folk are going to ice. So that's a good ratio, I think.
Yes, and I'm taking PTO and I'm paying for myself to go, so
Wow.
people should not make excuses to not go to conferences.
You are devoted.
Yeah.
I took a second job so that I could go to ICE.
Wow. I'm just waiting for it to float back to my city. I just want it, I'm just assuming it'll come back to me. I'm not.
How lazy.
Yeah.
I was kind of hoping it was going to be in D.C. again. I was a little disappointed that it was in Orlando. It's like, I've been to Orlando so many
They're
times.
all in Orlando.
Because of Disney World. So the idea, if you ask, and I'll go and throw his name out there, Elliot Mazie, for example, has had his conference in Orlando every year for like 30 years. And the idea is, like, you can do a bunch of big things at Disney World or Universal Studios and stuff like that. And the thing is, if you can also make a vacation of it. If you have family that you have to bring in tow, or it's like, well, if you leave house, but someone who's staying at home has to take care of the kids. What if you just bring everybody, and then while you're in a conference, your partner and your children can be at the park living it up. That's the idea, and then you can join them after that. That's
I think the same thing could be said for D.C., right? I mean, everybody loves to take their family there as an educational thing. All the museums and all that kind of stuff. I mean,
I think so. I think
I took my mom, right? What's the name of the service?
What service?
A daycare.
What?
Drop them off somewhere and then go enjoy them.
That's terrible. That's terrible.
Last year I was there.
He's going to come in and hit you.
I was actually in D.C., but I was chaperoning my son's, eighth grade trip to D.C. It was kind of funny because I saw people with badges walking around some of the museums we were in with ATD badges.
Oh, right. Yeah. I mean, it's
bags and all that.
Yeah, that's by the way, that's totally not conspicuous here at all. Like the people walking around with the conference stuff around the convention centers and stuff, no one's looking for those people, maybe to get close to on the metro. So, gosh, you know what? So half of us are going to ATD. People will be watching this maybe later. We should probably mention, and I'll mention it because this is in my bailiwick, apparently XAPI talk happened just before we got on the air. Justin Brazino from ATD was interviewing Aaron Silvers from Making Better about XAPI. And I caught half of that, and then I started getting ready for, I started getting myself pretty for what we're doing right now. But I hope to catch up on it later. And I guess this is all in advance of whatever's going on next week at ATD. So as far as I know, there are 2 XAPI events at ATD or around ATD. I know, and I don't have any coffee or water. I'll have to.
There's a meetup. I signed up for it, but I think I have every night I have 3 different things I'm supposed to go to. So now I don't know what I'm going to.
Yeah, I mean that's the way it is though at these events. Is that you just hope that you go to the right thing and you have time to get where you're going. I don't know. There's a Try XAPI event that's being put on by Riptide Software, I believe, and I'll try to dig up the link.
We're not allowed to talk about XAPI, or you have to drink water.
Twice.
I'll have to. Oh, hold on. I do have water. Oh. So one.
Too much XAPI, right?
Well, I'm trying to get out of the way in the beginning so that I can not talk about it. The other thing is there's an event at a Greek restaurant in Orlando. I think Saltbox is going to be doing. Saltbox, Rustasy, and another XAPI associated company are going to be doing stuff there. So you guys should check that out. I'll put that link up as well. A lot of people will be having fun. I will not be there. You guys have a good time. Bring your phones out, Periscope stuff. Actually, speaking of Periscoping, Melissa, were you doing that earlier today?
Yeah, I'm going to Periscope at ATD as much as I possibly can until I get in trouble, I guess. Because I feel like they're going to like ban it if they're going to be like no Periscoping.
I'd love to see, I mean, not that I want you to get in trouble, but I'd love to see them try and like shut down people's phones.
I'll run around like holding my phone and everyone will be chasing me. Stop.
Right.
No, I was this morning, because I was like, you know what, actually I'll try to Periscope like my e-learning work. So I was working on this new e-learning heroes challenge from this past week on ergonomics, and I used a lot of JavaScript, and I wanted to show how I did it. So I just took out my phone and Periscoped exactly what I did and then showed them the result. But like Twitter only let me repost 30 seconds of it, so it kind of stinks. So I'll probably repost later.
Oh, which is why you were talking about you know, exporting something else and then uploading that way. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's a cool way to like show your work. Like you could just put your camera up to your phone and show people live and have them ask you questions about it. Like, how did you do this?
That is a really good idea, because I think I mean, I know some people have played with this before, but I've not really seen the idea of you know, or just, you know, basically getting in there, doing video editing, or you know, working in an authoring tool, and you know, actually taking questions while you're doing it. That would be a really cool office hours, actually.
Yeah, I want to do it again, but so like you get random people on there. The first person came on and I was talking about JavaScript, and they're like, "This is so boring," and I was like, "Well, it's JavaScript, so it's not going to be super exciting." But someone else said, "Oh, this is a really great way to like share." So I'm gonna try it again, longer, because I only did it for like 2 or 3 minutes.
Okay. Well, I mean, it sounds like it was kind of an off-the-cuff thing that was happening. So, like, you decided just to do it. So, I mean, I guess you could probably do more prep or next time or whatever. But
yeah, and I did have a reason behind doing it. So I'm doing this blog post on a day in the life of a learning professional, and so I'm recording like every few hours exactly everything that I do, and I wanted to have some multimedia in there, and so that's why I did that.
Jane Bozarth would be proud, I think. Apparently,
well, we should maybe that's a good topic. The whole Periscope Meerkat thing. I know that some of the social media marketing folks have had. I saw a couple conversations come out asking the question. You know, is Meerkat and Periscope dead? Is the whole idea of it dying? You know, do people?
I can't imagine that it's dying. I don't think it got started, honestly. I mean, it's just barely. To give you an idea, there's a metro station being built near me right now, and they're kind of talking about where exactly to start breaking ground, and there's kind of a disagreement. And so they held a city government meeting that I totally forgot about because I am super busy. Anyway, someone went into the meeting and periscoped it. And it was just so great. You know, they periscoped and they put the link on Twitter, and then all of a sudden they had a bunch of people watching them so that they could like actually watch the proceedings and then not have to get out of their house. Which, you know, I feel like that kind of thing is only going to get more and more popular. So I just think more of these things need to happen. I mean, I hate to say it, but the more protest or political events that we start having, where people are periscoping and you know, people are doing it on purpose, like people from the Washington Post or whatever major media outlet is. If they're doing that live from an event, if they send an intern down with a phone, like I think we're just getting started. And as far as, you know, people like Melissa, like actually showing up to events where like you pay to get in, but people are sending data out that is continual streams, not just photographs or whatever. I think it's going to get interesting. I don't think it's dying. I think people are just getting started. For example, like half of, or more than half of the smartphone user base right now cannot, if I understand it correctly, can't use Periscope. I have an Android phone, so I can't use Meerkat or Periscope to stream anything. I can.
But you can watch it on your browser.
Yes, I can watch it. Yeah, I can absolutely watch it, but I can't be a producer. with my phone. I have to figure out some other way to get it done. So I think once that happens, once they make things available for Android, there's a bit, there are more people doing it. I don't think it's dead, but as always, I think there's going to be a certain number or a certain part of the community of people in social media who are going to think to be producers, right? So what Melissa did, I think, is actually rare. Someone's like, yeah, it's really rare. Rare enough to the point where, like, I was really surprised when I saw that you were doing it. I was like, oh.
It's really scary. It's so scary.
Well, that's part of the reason, right? I mean, you were confident enough in what you were doing to be like, yeah, let them see what I'm doing.
So what was scary about it, Melissa? Give us a little taste.
So my main issue with it is that you're kind of putting yourself, it's just like the e-learning heroes challenges, but way different because like it's you talking live. And the thing that scares me is that people are going to be like, what is this girl doing? She is crazy. Like, she is just talking about random stuff that she has no idea what she's saying.
A terrible professional. Why did we hire, that, no, but of course, you're just working. I guess that's part of it.
The issue is I'm not a programmer and I'm doing stuff with JavaScript and I don't want people to judge me, but that's how I'm learning and I want to share what I'm doing in my work with people that aren't necessarily doing that yet in e-learning.
And I think there's an interesting point in all of this. I'm reading a book called Mindset. Have you guys heard of that?
No.
Her name, the author is Carol Dweck. She's a researcher, obviously academic, but I'm trying to think. I want to say sociologist, but I don't think that's it. But anyways, it's really interesting. She's whittled it down to two types of personalities, and one being a fixed mindset versus a learning mindset. And of course, that's why it caught my attention when she started talking about, she's divided up, people into these two mindsets, and she actually used the term learning, and the whole book is about this learning mindset. It obviously attracted me to it, and it's interesting. It's really cool. And what you're talking about, Melissa, is being of a learning mindset and saying, hey, I may not know how to do this, but I'm gonna learn, and I'm gonna show other people, and I'm gonna expose the learning process. And she talks about how that leads to more success than people with the fixed mindset, folks who, and she relates the whole book to kids and how you can parent your kids differently as well. The whole concept of when people just tell you you're smart, you don't feel like you have to work hard for anything anymore. But yet the people with the learning mindset are the ones that know, hey, I may not know how to do that right now, but if I put in a little effort and work at it real hard, over time I could be pretty good at it.
Mm-hmm. And I think that the advantage is seeing how, and we rarely get to see or share how we are working, how we are discovering things. People are always telling me that I'm a tool guy. I'm able to find tools and all. How do you know the tool to use for this and all that? Well, I guess I've learned to Google well, and I'd like to share how I do that. And I've done that in a few blog posts. But the advantage of seeing it as it happens is it's really cool, to be able to do that live as you're thinking. You're sharing your thought process, and even if you're sharing a failure, I think there's still an advantage, to that, showing people how you thought to get to that point instead of showing people what the finished thing looks like.
But everybody loves a behind-the-scenes story, right? I mean,
everybody loves making of documentaries and stuff, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's similar, except now we can just do it live, right? While we're going through a process, we can be streaming it live to people and having it be just a lot more of a real experience as opposed to having to produce something afterwards. I think it's great.
So that brings up a question I have, maybe a technical question for Melissa or anybody else who's kind of done this thing. As you're working, how are you responding to the comments? Are you actually viewing them on screen while you have another screen open with what you're working on, and then talking out loud so that Periscope picks you up? How are you? It's kind of a classic, presenting and then facilitator issue where you're doing it all at the same time. Like how do you best do that?
Periscope and Meerkat are different.
Mhm.
So I used Periscope, but like I kind of wish I would have used Meerkat, and I might not be completely right on this, but Periscope you can't chat back, you have to answer vocally, and at Meerkat you can actually chat back, and I was on Periscope, so if someone asks me, they're like, the most common questions, where you are from, like, so I'm like, from Philadelphia, like that's what I'd say, like, but on Meerkat you can type it.
Right.
Unless I totally missed something on Periscope. I don't know.
I just feel like maybe no. I'm just thinking, from a standpoint of somebody who might like to try to do this in another fashion. Whether you find it easier, would you want to type it out if people were like responding to you in text, which of course they are.
Well, what I would want to do, and what I wanted to do in this one that I didn't get to do because I didn't have enough time, is I pulled up my execute JavaScript section in Storyline, and it has the code in there, and I wanted to actually hashtag the title JavaScript, so someone from that has a background in JavaScript would come in and tell me what was wrong with my code, even though there wasn't anything wrong with it, but I could have done it differently. Like, that's what I wanted, but I didn't have enough time for that.
Huh, interesting. So take it, like, actually look, like, kind of soliciting.
Yeah, I need advice.
Back or how to, yeah, that's cool.
Huh.
I think the hardest part with those tools for me is that I like the engagement and the interaction that we get, like here in doing a Google Hangout, right? When you're on Meerkat or Periscope, it really is sort of you kind of have two directions because people can chat back to you and you can answer their questions, and say it. And so when I was thinking about it, when I first started looking at those tools and using them. At first I thought, well, this is bad. This is very frustrating for me because I'm having a very hard time engaging. I feel like I have to continue to just present, and it's just a one-way medium. But then I started thinking a little bit more openly about it, I guess, and say, well, at certain points, at certain times, that's okay, right? I mean, at certain times, not allowing people to jump in is actually very helpful when you're just presenting, right? And being able to see just a stream of questions so that you can gauge when you're going to answer and how you're going to answer based on the flow of what you're saying. It becomes, it's just a different experience, and learning how to kind of manage that, and the reasons why you would want to just Meerkat something or Periscope something as opposed to doing a Google Hangout or using any one of the other tools just becomes an issue like that.
Mm-hmm.
Looks like we lost Craig.
I agree. I think
in the background. I apologize.
Because designers, we also put a lot of stress on ourselves to make everything a conversation. Everything is a collaboration. We get frustrated when people don't want to collaborate on what we expect them to. Sometimes it is okay to just consume,
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think people like to just sort of, sometimes you want to just watch something because you're doing something else at the same time, right? And you want to have it up, and you don't want to be committed to being fully engaged. I think that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's one of the things that makes these tools so powerful is that you can choose as a user, how you want to engage, how much you want to engage, and how intensely you want to engage.
I agree. And the one thing, like, sometimes I just get on Periscope or Meerkat and just watch other people and ask them questions. And I can't remember if I said it on here. I know I definitely was talking to Willa and Aaron about this. I got on and I was just watching this guy. He was giving a tour of like all of the he was up in the mountains of China, and he was talking all about the area and how much it costs to live in certain places and the culture. And it was so interesting. And I just kept asking him questions. I'm like, so what do you do? Like, how did you get there? Like, how does an American go from here to China and live there? Like, it was very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of stopped with the tools for a little while because it looked to me like it seemed like there was a bad element that started to get on, I guess. I mean, I don't know. Maybe I shouldn't put judgment on. It was people were displaying themselves in ways that I wouldn't necessarily be interested in watching their their festivities or what they're currently engaged in. And then all of a sudden, as I would scroll through my phone looking for interesting things to watch, it was all that. It was partying and whatnot. And so it kind of seemed like it was taken over by the crazy crowd. So I just kind of disconnected for a while.
That's why you need to be there, Brent.
I didn't see any of that.
I was going to say, like, Brent is like my internet that we're not aware of, apparently.
Like, how does my stream? I don't follow strange people, but for some reason when I look at the general stream, there's all that.
You mean there's no meaningful content? It's always the same thing?
No, not the same thing. Just it's all, well, I mean, some of it's the same. I start to recognize the icons after a while, and it's like, listen, I don't care if you're the hottest social babe in New York or whatever.
That was me.
Yeah, and then you get people asking you weird questions. Like people, like the weirdest thing is that people always ask about feet. I don't know. Like they ask to see your feet. I'm like, what? That's really weird.
I told you, it's full of crazies.
It's like chat roulette. I followed that once, and I'm like, nope, I don't want to see that.
So I feel like I turned away for a moment. I needed to deal with something, and I came back, and you guys are talking about, like, are you literally talking about chat roulette, or is this something?
No.
Because I could have saved you all some time. Don't do it.
I stopped it.
But like to bring it back around, I think that is a part of how it can be disruptive to learning. You can get on a bad path.
Right. Disruptive.
Yeah, right.
We're talking about Meerkat live streaming.
Wait,
stuff.
can I see this? Here's my. Here's what Periscope looks like, and. So this is the part about Periscope that I don't even understand. It's like the list of things are all things that are done with already. And so what do I hit? I mean, to even show, like here, so when I hit the globe, this kind of shows what's currently going on. So we've got the imagination movers.
That's awesome. I want to join that.
Yeah, I do too, but I have an Android phone, so I can't do it.
Yeah, we've got something in Italian, about to do a talk at Lee Strasberg Institute because I studied there.
All right.
And stuff like that. So, yeah, it's not so bad right now, but maybe it's just in the afternoon when it's the evening on the East Coast for me that I see all the crazies.
Yeah, the East Coasters are terrible people.
You crazy people.
Yeah, we I don't know, eat babies. I haven't for a while anyway. I'm trying to cut back on my carbs. Babies are just so high in fat too. I can't.
Yeah, I've already stumbled upon some pleasant things here on Meerkat.
So okay, so not to give away Melissa's game plan here, so that she gets like barred at the door when she gets to ice, but so what do you have a plan for broadcasting from these events?
So I'm volunteering at ICE, so I don't know like how much I'll be doing, but I want to at least like broadcast the meetups, which I shouldn't, like that should be fine, but I don't know if I'll like broadcast any talks. It just depends. Did you ask for permission for that? I wonder if you need to. Isn't that? They might have signs. Remember, didn't they have signs at Tech Knowledge?
Yeah, they have. They'll probably have the same signs up that everyone's going to ignore, except for me. I'm the idiot who was like, all right, they got to sign up. I won't tape anything.
Yeah, I would never do something that they're telling me not to do. I'm not a rule breaker. Sorry. I wish it was.
They have to find you to tell you not to do it.
So yeah, you should broadcast whatever is broadcastable, and that you have time, and maybe join a hangout with us too. Well, yeah, maybe Brent and I will get together and do a hangout or do like a stream.
Yeah, I think that'd be great. We should totally plan that. And I was just gonna say, there's this guy that's always on LifeCam X. His handle is Bad Beef. He is on my Meerkat stream like all the time. Every time I open up Meerkat, it's Bad Beef.
Okay.
You have a following.
Yeah, I have no idea who this person is, but yeah, maybe I have to go through, because when it first came out, there weren't that many people on it, and so I was just, accepting follow requests and all that kind of stuff, just like the early days of every other tool.
I didn't realize that. So people can't already. I mean, people. You can have people follow you, and then you just kind of follow you around. Can anyone join your stream when it's open?
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting.
Okay,
Yeah,
you're
but
not the one that's.
Sorry.
All right, I choose Melissa. Go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say, anyone can join, but not anyone can chat. You can have it so only certain people can chat. So you can, turn the settings
and stuff like that. Yeah.
Okay.
You can have just your friends chat. It says only people following you chat.
All right, so all of us here have spoken at, like ATD or e-learning guild events and things like that. Would you consider doing a Periscope or Meerkat of yourself as you're presenting?
Oh, that would be really hard. You could have someone else do it, like hold it for you.
You just got to put it on a tripod, right? I mean, you get a. Here, I'll show you my rig. I've done this before. The last hangout we did, I tried to. I meerkatted it while we were doing it.
Yeah, I actually have a rig. So I bought this for my wife because she cooks a lot and she bakes a lot, and we have an open kitchen. So she wanted a way to have a tablet kind of hooked up in the kitchen. So I bought something to mount it on the wall and then kind of have like an articulating arm so she could just pull it around with her. But it's the way it kind of the grip works is you could actually have it grip a phone. And I was thinking like, wow, you could actually, I have a articulating arm lamp over where I work. I could also have one theoretically with a phone over that and then kind of pull it in the direction that I want the camera to point. So theoretically, you could have something that is pointed at you while you're doing it, or and this might be better, pointed away from you and looking at the ground as you're talking. That might be depressing. Actually.
But since this is fairly new in a sense anyway, the live streaming, the ease of it at least, right? Like we were talking about the other day, I wonder if it's even something that the event organizers would allow, or if they even considered this,
I don't know. I'm sure they know. I'm sure they.
I feel like for your own session you can.
Yeah, I would think so. Although I'm not sure, Melissa, because if I remember correctly, I don't know if ATD does this, but I know the e-learning guild. I feel like there is money to be made in the reselling of the access to the archives and stuff. So sorry, go ahead.
I would think it would make sense that it wouldn't be allowed except for a few sessions. Because people are paying to go, right? So it kind of diminishes the value for the people that are paying. I'm not sure. I don't know.
Well, here's my take on it. I get the business aspect of it, but it's a matter of quality, right? Like the experience of actually being at an event versus just watching someone like Melissa or myself meerkat certain things. Obviously.
And
a huge difference.
There's always that argument. Oops, sorry, there's a delay.
Go ahead.
But it's like how if you look at the entertainment industry, for example, Pearl Jam chose to look at things, right? People are pirating their stuff. They just go in the bandwagon and actually encourage it, and have bootlegged CDs and all that. They launched those, and they have and if anything, look at Radiohead, what they do. It actually increases their following. So I would think if they're able to think that outside of the immediate, people are paying to attend it live, if they let people actually broadcast and bring it online, kind of like what they do with Twitter with words, like tweeting what people are saying in keynotes, for example, I would think that would attract people. Like if I saw something that's really cool, I'm not there, I would wish I could be there connecting with these people live, then I would see the advantage and want to go next year maybe if I have an opportunity.
Right. Well, it's free marketing in my mind. I kind of understand why they wouldn't want you to record your own session because it's their event and they feel like they own it and whatnot. I totally get that. But obviously, if the event is going to actually record your session, more often than not, they're going to have a pro setup there with a pro camera, HD, with a guy monitoring it, wicked sound system. They've got the lavalier mics hooked up. And if you're there recording your own session, at best you've got your little webcam on your laptop and you're recording yourself at a really weird angle. I mean, you've all seen them before, you know, when you try to do it yourself. And so, I mean, the difference in quality, yeah, sure, somebody can watch the free one or whatever, but it's double marketing. So, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I think I could go either way on the whole subject, and I guess it depends on your take on the event.
Yeah. That brings up two things, though. One, eLearning Guild and like some of the other conferences, they ask you for a recording of your presentations, and I'm like, I never record anything I do, and like half the like you don't let you. Like, so why are they asking, and then they're saying that you can? I don't know if they're saying they can't, but
that's a good point.
Wait, they've asked you for you to record your own session?
No, the forms ask for a recording of your previous presentation of yours.
Yeah.
I'll be doing an eLearning Guild event this May 21st with Robert Gadd. And when I was doing all the paperwork for it, they did the same thing they did for Melissa. They asked, do you have any, recordings or, basically examples of yourself speaking? Because they want to know that you can speak in public.
Yeah.
Well, like, who's going to apply if they can't speak? And like the other point to that, but listen, no, the other point to that is that people, part of the whole thing is to engage people, and I feel like they should be saying, if you're going to do a presentation, involve the audience in some way, and then we'll record it because it's all about the engaging experience versus just going and watching someone talk. Because who cares if someone's just talking? I hate it. I can't stand when people do that. I get so bored.
Yeah.
Although
I think they're asking, like, if you happen maybe to do something like a keynote or whatever, or an online forum or anything that has been recorded before, they can see that you actually can articulate a thought, for example. I would think that even something like a hangout like this that you participated in would count as a speaker. Or something. They just want to see you. If you have anything.
I'll tell you what. You know what? After having done the process for so long, there isn't a snowball's chance in hell that I would sit and watch everybody's recorded session while I was going through the process.
Yeah, I would.
Especially so. The thing that I always hated the most, that just drove me crazy, was when I would select somebody that had never spoken before. They were afraid, but maybe I had a phone conversation with them, and they're like, I don't want to, I really would like to present on what I'm doing, but I'm not a very good speaker, whatever. My thought, I always told them, listen, you work for a great company, you're doing some very interesting things. If you need some help putting a presentation together, I can help you, or we can get somebody to help you. But, it'd be really great if you could, use this as an opportunity to share what it is that you're doing. So then I encourage these folks, first-timers, to come in and, do and present. But then you get people sitting in the audience going, this presenter wasn't very professional, and this presenter wasn't, didn't do this, and they didn't tell me what I was going to learn up front, and they get people bitching about it, and it's just like, how, we do the best we can to tell you that, it's a beginner thing or whatever. We give people an opportunity to share what it is they know. We don't ever come right out and say this person is a professional speaker and they're going to entertain the hell out of you. No, it's a concurrent session with somebody that works in the industry, that's your peer, that has stepped up and said, hey, I want to share what I'm doing with you. Why can't people just accept that and enjoy what they get?
Because one, someone's paying a lot of money for it. This is, again, I don't agree with this logic, but someone's paying a lot of money for it. They want to see something in the vein of what they expect they should see, and especially the people who are paying for the amount for the people, not only to get entrance to the event, but also to actually travel to the event. They want to make sure that they're getting experiences of the type that they think will be enriching enough. And you have people who are not. They're not really good communicators, or they're not relatable when they're speaking, but they have content that is interesting and can take back.
I think that's That's very short-sighted of people to put all that I'm going to get out of this is a good speaking session or two. What about the networking? What about the opportunity to connect with that person? Maybe the person is giving something that you don't agree with or presenting in a way you don't agree with. Approach them, become friends with, mentor them, help them. And it's very short-sighted to think the only way to learn is to sit there and watch an amazing presentation and leave and never talk to people again. That it's learning is part of contributing to their better presentation. They're not doing a great presentation. Help them in a nice way. Provide good feedback instead of there's always somebody that's not going to like something. No matter how amazing the presentation is, there's going to be somebody with negative feedback.
Right.
So take advantage of that and connect with people. The best part is not the presentations; it's what happens before and after. And even if you don't attend the presentations, connecting with people.
Yep.
And you can leave. You don't have to stay in the room.
I was just going to say that. I'll tell you what. It's like vote with your feet, right? I can't tell you how many times I've stood in front of concurrent sessions, especially, and I say, listen. I'm going to tell you exactly what this is going to be about in the first 2 minutes. If you don't like what it is in the first 2 minutes, you are free to get up and leave. And you won't hurt my feelings. I would much rather have you gain value from going to something else that you'd rather see than have you sit and complain about how much you didn't like sitting and listening to me for an hour. So, after 2 minutes, if you're not liking it, you're free to leave. And I encourage you to do so, and some people did, and I appreciate that, to be fully honest as a speaker, but I don't know, I guess a lot of people don't, and they feel like it's rude and whatever, but
I remember the first time that I spoke. Well, first of all, actually, kind of to talk a little bit about what we've been talking about. I've been active in the L&D community for a long time, but I had to kind of be dragged into speaking, and I was terrified. And my first speaking engagement was like terrible. It was terrible. Like I had what I thought was good content, but like my actual execution was horrible, and it showed, interviews and everything. I think that, I think that there's you guys have been in the industry for a while, and you're also very generous in the, but also resourceful in the ways that you're taking advantage of the opportunities to be with other people who are telling you new things, which means that just sitting there in a class or in a conference room and then receiving wisdom or whatever is not the sole reason to be, in Orlando or wherever. But I think that's a neat way to look at it. I do think, though, I wanted to kind of comment on something that both Brent and Melissa sort of hinted at, and that is the idea of bringing people who have good ideas but are really reticent to kind of share them. I wonder if conferences are traditionally the way to kind of come out, so to speak. Like, people will see you and they're like, if you do a good job, like they're like, oh, this person is, a thought leader. And you can see Enzo about to roll with us. But this person is a thought leader in the in the industry, and that's maybe the best route for that kind of person. Should they maybe take advantage of other ways of making themselves known? For example, like there are a lot of people I've found on Twitter that I've never, I've never spoken to directly face to face, or have not seen at a local industry event, but they're they're showing the work. They are doing other things that where I can see, these are serious people, and I really want to kind of follow them. And I feel like that's maybe, I don't know if it's a new way, but maybe it's a better way to kind of gain influence in the community. Yeah, I can hear an echo happening on the other end. I don't know. Anyway, I'm done, so I won't echo.
I don't know. I think it's fine. I don't know. I guess I'm far too easygoing on this kind of stuff, and I don't know. Maybe I should take that presentation stuff a little bit more seriously. But to me, it wasn't really. I didn't worry about it too much. When I remember when I first started doing it, I was so nervous and scared. The first time I did it, that I way over prepared. I had like videos ready to go. I had, slides. I had all sorts of information, and I think I had like maybe 6 people sitting in the audience, sitting in my concurrent session. It was at a really tiny conference, the first time I did it, but I was so pumped to be even, invited and to go that I just way overdid it. But it ended up paying off because I had all these assets now that I could then use to submit at other conferences, and it turned out okay. But, there are smaller events out there that I think people can kind of cut their teeth on. And maybe that's the way to go. Encourage people to start small and then shoot for the bigger shows. I don't know, but I don't think it can hurt to do it all.
I think I was talking to some people from Torrance Learning in Michigan, and they do something called the Download, which is I think a quarterly conference that they put together on Fridays. That I think it happens every couple of weeks or maybe every couple of months. I'm not sure, but I think it's one of those small opportunities to get people together. Brent, you weren't here last time we did this, but actually the three of us were talking the last time about trying to organize local events and trying to get people involved on a local level and kind of get together to talk about things we care about. I think those would be great opportunities to, meetups that can be arranged. They don't have to be local industry events. They could be events where people who know of each other get together and talk about what they care about, and then do what organizations like Creative Mornings or TED do, where they have people talk about a particular subject and then kind of get them up ahead of time and get them ready. Do you guys remember what were they called? Pachachka or Pechakucha?
Oh yeah. The whole 20 slides, 20 seconds each, or something like that. Pechakucha or
I still. And I think there's another thing called Ignite. I still like that.
Yeah. I still like it too. Yeah.
Well, Ignite got started because somebody decided to copyright the whole Pika thing. So people said, okay, fine, screw it. We'll do 15 slides, 15 seconds each then, just to get around the copyright of it. So, you'll notice that you hear about Ignite a hell of a lot more these days than you hear about the term Pika Poocha or whatever.
I don't even know what that is. I've never heard of it.
So the idea, by the way, Pechakucha is supposed to be the Japanese onomatopoeia for people talking.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's.
Yeah, but as far as the local events go, I started doing here in Arizona, in Phoenix. I started doing a coffee meetup. I found myself always scheduling coffee with folks, and I thought, well, instead of having to schedule like 8 different coffee events, I'm just gonna tell people on this Friday from 9 to 11, I'm at this coffee shop. Just come on by and and we'll chat. Well, it was weird because I started getting like 6 people, 8 people, showing up, and I'm like, okay, I can't talk to everybody, but everybody was meeting everybody else. So we had this great groove going, but the way I started it was just putting it as I think it was a group on LinkedIn, and I said, listen, I don't own this, right? This isn't my thing. It's everybody's thing. I'm just setting up the group, and I'll say, I'll pick a date and a particular location, and then it's all up to you. You guys can show up, you can not show up. If I end up sitting there by myself, that's fine, because I would have sat there by myself anyways. Well, then people started asking, Brent, when are you going to do another one? Can you schedule another one? Can you invite me to this? And I'm like, no, wait, time out. You can schedule this too. It's not my thing. Anybody now can schedule this and schedule a coffee meetup. I don't have to be the one to do it. But people just did it anyways. But yeah, local stuff is great.
But I also think, not to get away from what we were talking before, I think that these big conferences, I believe in trial by fire. You get out there and you test it out in front of possibly some people that are big in the industry, and you connect with those people after your presentation. Connect to other people that are at the same level that you are, no matter what it is. Even people that are experienced might prepare something that's not that great, and they could use some feedback from the network that they were using there. So Maybe, I like just getting out there. If it's going to work, it works. If not, move on to the next topic or work on it, improve it.
You know what we sound like? We sound like comedians, actually. That's what they do, right? Comedians will get material and they will go to clubs and try it out in front of audiences, and like if people are good with it, actually there is an instructional designer I feel does this. You guys know Julie Dirksen? So you know her? Julie Dirksen. She's a
okay, yeah. I know who she is.
Yeah. So she does. She does, in my opinion, she has a bunch of stuff in her head at all times. And like if you were like sitting next to her on a plane, you'd probably like pull out like a laptop and just go through like a presentation that you give at a conference just easily. And I always feel like she's got something percolating at all times, and she talks to people about things and gets some feedback and then kind of ruminates on that, and then it comes out at events. It's not that she's not preparing for her events. I think she's preparing in a way that a lot of people aren't. And I just think that she kind of rolls her stuff out and kind of presents it in stages casually. And then when it's time for a big event, I don't think she's really pressing. I think she's prepared because she's kind of gone over this already and knows where to hit things how. And it seems effortless, but she's actually been working over time. That's my interpretation of what she does anyway.
Yeah, it's always great to run ideas. I mean, you guys know I run ideas by you guys all the time.
You have to. That's the best way. Then you know what your audience wants. It's like perfect. I think the more that people can do things differently, the better our industry will be.
Yeah.
We'll
learn how to do other things.
Yeah. It feels like I wish these big conferences would provide something additional that is a track for the shy ones or for the beginners to present. You know what I'm saying? So they feel welcome.
Actually, the one I'm getting a lot of feedback.
Oh yeah,
Do you guys hear that? So actually, the online learning one that you're going to too, Enzo, the presentation that I'm doing is I'm just sitting at a table, and they're going to do kind of like speed dating, where people go to one table, then they go to another table, then they go to another table, and that's like a super like chill way to get into speaking, because you're just with a table of people.
Very nice.
Right? Like, I think that's...
We've done that. I remember the Guild did that before. It has done different versions of that at different events. And it's different. There are different levels of success with that format too, right? It does take a different type of personality to be able to sit and engage folks and to be able to just sit and answer those questions for a while. But yeah, I mean, I think it's great. I mean, there's so many different ways that you can do it. It's just a lot of it has to do, quite honestly, with just the logistics and planning it, and having to do something different is sometimes a little bit, harder than just doing it the way you've always done it, right? Change is hard.
It is. Hey guys, I'm getting pulled back into work stuff, so I'm gonna have to leave you.
It must be really important because you're wearing a tie today. So we'll let you go.
Here's the weird thing. I wear like a tie like almost every day now. I'm on camera more often than I would wish. So.
It's an ex-AP tie.
That was great.
God. Please tell me that you. Never mind. I'm out of here.
Craig, talk to you later.
All right. It's about time we end anyway.
Yep. So let's do the classic ending round of who are you? Where can we find you?
Enzo Silva, instructional designer. EnzoSilva.com is where you can find most of my places online.
What are you on Twitter?
Enzo F. Silva. F as in Fabiano is my middle name.
Yeah. I was having trouble because I kept typing in Enzo Silva and I couldn't find you.
Yeah, it's Enzo F. Silva. I added a little F in the middle there, so because Silva was already taken by somebody that doesn't use it.
Worst person in the world.
Don't you hate that? All right, Melissa, how about you?
All right, so you can find me at Milloway, so on Twitter, and all my information is in my Twitter profile, so that's pretty easy. I'm a learning designer and developer. That's it.
Awesome. and I failed to help get our hangout going this morning, but as we've tried in the past. But I'm Brent Schlenker, corporate learning strategist / officer, whatever term you want to use, for Litmus.com. We have our big corporate event next week in Las Vegas, so I will be out of pocket. Well, you'll be seeing lots of tweets coming from me. I'm going to try to do some video stuff. Maybe some Meerkat and some periscoping from Vegas for Calidus Cloud Connections, or better known as C3, and sales and marketing, and then with the learning program. So we're also doing a certification. This will be launching a Litmus certification program that will be fun to roll out. So that's next week. You can find me at B Schlenker, BSCHLENKER, easier said than spelled, and just about every place else on the interwebs. What are we talking about in 2 weeks? I know we're going to try to have a special guest, Melissa.
You know, I don't know if Justin's available. Justin, if you ever watch this, you should definitely come in 2 weeks. I don't think he'll ever watch this, but
but he's an Adobe evangelist, is that right?
No, I think he's the head of learning innovation at Adobe. I don't want to butcher his title, but it's something like that.
Oh, okay.
Cool.
We have RJ Jaquez, I think is how you pronounce his last name. He's an ex-Adobe guy that has recently come back into the mobile learning sphere. He was really big on that when he was at Adobe. So maybe we can chat with him and get him to join too sometime. So lots of options for 2 weeks though, right? So we're going to do it in 2 weeks, May 22nd.
12:30 Eastern.
12:30 Eastern?
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
We will see you all then.
All right.
Yeah.
Bye.
Take care.
You too.